Welcome to Plus One Forward, the podcast powered by the apocalypse, where we talk about tabletop role-playing games using or inspired by the Apocalypse engine. I'm your MC Rich, and I'm joined by my guest, Mike Espinoza. Hey Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey Rich, thank you for having me.
Oh, excited to have you on, man. I was so excited to be able to schedule some time with you. Let's start off with our normal question. What was your first Apocalypse engine game, Mike, and your gateway into this style of RPGs?
I first got into PBTA by reading Apocalypse World and then reading other PBTA games. But at that time, I was already working on my game, but was trying to make my own system, starting from scratch.
Oof. Okay.
But then, after reading Apocalypse World, I just realized that it was exactly what I needed. So I started to consume more and more games to see how other designers were using the engine. And I actually got to play it pretty late when I emceed a couple of sessions of Urban Shadows and Apocalypse World and also Dungeon World. And as a player, it was even later when I had a chance to play some games with the Gauntlet community.
That's really interesting. So you came from, this is the game I definitely want to make, reading through a bunch of the different games, and it actually shaped your design before you even got a chance to get it to the table. That's really interesting. Okay, cool. Well, let's jump on over here and read a Sitch. Read a Sitch. So, Mike, you have been playtesting and running Nahual. Is this one of your first designs?
Yeah, I did some stuff for D20 and 5e, like homebrew stuff.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But This is the first serious endeavor I've started with an intention of publishing and all that.
That is awesome. So then, what I thought it would be cool if we could talk a little bit about is your first time through doing playtesting and development of your own game. So talk to me about, how did you playtest Nahual when you started kind of building out the framework and starting out the game? How did you start playtesting, recruit people, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I did some playtesting with some face-to-face group back when I started, and at the beginning I was pretty much lost. All I was doing was copy-pasting Apocalypse World moves and removing the names and erasing the serial numbers. And yeah, it was really, really bad. So that first stage of playtesting, and with those pretty bad moves, well, not bad because they were basically Apocalypse World moves, and also playbooks were very similar. So after those first sessions, I came to realize that it wasn't kind of working. So I took a step back and rethink everything. So I basically restarted from scratch. And then, fortunately, I won the sponsorship for 2017 Metatopia from the IGDN.
Very cool.
Yeah, and that trip to Metatopia was very, very helpful in playtesting there and seeing that this new direction I was going to, it was the right choice, and that helped accelerate things. And then now with the Gauntlet community also have been wonderful. I mean, for playtesting, they have been very helpful, and it's a very nice community, so that also helping a lot.
Very cool. Now, one of the things that I'm really interested in talking about with you is that I've seen people who are playtesting a game and they kind of run it as a one-off, but I had the fortune of being able to sit in on multiple sessions. You actually ran a 4-session kind of mini-series of Nahual. So I want to talk a little bit about that, about the idea of playtesting a game over multiple sessions. What drove that decision? Did you really feel like it needed a multiple session, or talk to me a little bit about that?
Well, after that first long ago round of playtesting face-to-face with some of my friends, I moved town, so I had to stop that. And after that, all of the playtesting I have been able to do was basically one-shots. And even in Metatopia, because of the
right,
of the format of the convention. And when I get the feedback from people and I myself like looking at how the gameplay went, I felt more and more that that my game needs like multiple sessions. It's more like a multi-session game rather than a one-shot. Doing one-shots is going to be kind of a little bit harder, to the point that I have been thinking about including a small appendix chapter thing to give ideas to people, help people like to play one-shots, because the game depends a lot on the long-term play.
Yeah, I saw that too, and we'll talk a bit more when we dig into the game. Curious though, as you were running the multiple session format, did you ever run into a rule that was so broken that you're like, I have to tweak this, even though it might change things in the story?
I have, but in my recent playtest run, I'm recently playtesting with the crew at Magpie Games. They are very, very helpful. And they helped me kind of realize that I have this thing that was broken. More than broken, it was like a lack of it, like a move that actually you mentioned in one of our sessions in that Gauntlet playtest. I originally didn't have a move for reading a Sitch,
right?
And I was doing this by choice. I didn't want it like this move in the game, but then after your comment that planted that seed in my head, and
right.
I kept wondering if the game needed it or not. And after a couple of sessions with the Magpies, they had me realize that I need one, and it is mainly because, unlike most of PBTA games, I have an actual defined setting, like
right,
and it is very different to what most English-speaking audiences is used to. On the one hand, is the cultural level, because the game is set in Mexico, but also like the tropes and are kind of upside down. Angels in the game are not what people are used to. So they helped me realize that a read a Sitch move can help me build a bridge over that gap, so that lets players discover actively with their actions this weird setting.
That is fascinating, because I was really interested in when I said, hey, you don't have a read a Sitch, and sometimes there are times I don't know what to do. Your justification, like you had thought about it at that point, because you told me, well, I'm seeing the Nahual, like these Angelores, they're fighting against things. They kind of jump in head first and stick their nose into things, and so the idea of hanging back and trying to read a Sitch felt like at that point you said, no, it doesn't feel like how I want things to go. I want this to be action. I want people to kind of jump in and figure out as they go. And I'm like, oh, that is an interesting point of view. But now you change that based off feedback talking about the setting and making sure that you can communicate the setting with a move. Well, I am really excited to talk a bit more about Nahual and how it plays. So why don't we open our brain to it, okay?
Sure.
Open your brain. All right, Mike, so you've got this game, Nahual, that is coming to Kickstarter, and I really want to learn a bit more about it here and share it with the listeners. So tell me about Nahual. What's the setting, and what's this game about?
So Nahual is an urban fantasy set in Mexico, and it's inspired in the graphic novels of a Mexican comic book artist named Edgar Clement. I'm working with him closely, so he will actually be in the credits of the book, like in the cover next to we are going to be two of us.
That's so cool.
I'm doing all the mechanics and stuff, but clearly all the setting is his. And in the novels, he created this concept of angeleros, or angel hunters, which are people like hunt angels for a living. And in the intro of the first novel, which is called Operación Bolívar, Clement explains that this idea of how when the conquistadores came, when Cortés came from Spain, they were not alone, that they brought with them their gods or their angels, more like it, with them. And these angels were also bloodthirsty conquerors. They were not the pretty pink figures the church the church says they are. So the native shamans, the shape-shifting Nahuales, were the only people that was able to touch these angels and to fight back.
Okay.
So that's like
cool.
the long backstory. But the novels are on in present day. It's modern Mexico. So in present day, there are still people capable of touching these angels, but they don't have the shamanistic traditions or the spiritual knowledge of their ancestors. So they just do what they can to survive. They are able to see these creatures and they kill them. And since their bodies have these supernatural properties, they sell them to the best buyer.
So you're saying basically not only do the angel hunters, they take down these, they can see them, so the angels are what, kind of invisible to the mortal
Yes,
eye?
they can't be seen if they don't want to. They can show themselves to mortal people, to regular mortal people, but if they don't want to, they are invisible. Only when they want to be seen, they show themselves to their... But the angeleros have the gift to see them even when they don't want to be seen. So they can't hide from them.
Cool. And then not only do they just hunt them down, but they like take parts of the angels and they can sell them, right? On like this weird black market?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a hunter going to the woods to kill a deer and then sell the meat and
Wow. That is so cool.
the wings and all that stuff. Yeah, so in the game, the players are these angeleros, these angel hunters, but they have also the power of the Nahual that lets them transform into different type of animals, and each playbook is presented as an animal. You have the jaguar playbook, the perro, which is the dog playbook, the monkey playbook, the possum playbook. Yeah, so it's not that they can transform just by chance to these kind of animals. They transform into that because the animal is like a metaphor to their personalities. So if your Nahual is a monkey, it's because you are playful and creative and agile. And if your Nahual is a dog, it's because you are loyal, but you also have this kind of wild side inside you that can get out of hand. Like you can be like a wild dog too. So that's the connection between your Nahual and your personality. So your personality as a human defines what type of Nahual you will transform into when you do the transformation.
That's really cool. Like I love it because it's got aspects of Monster of the Week, and then like Werewolf the Apocalypse and the whole like changing breed stuff from World of Darkness, but then it's tied into the setting. What a cool mix. That I really dig that. That's super cool. So what are the mechanics within Nahual that are different versus Apocalypse World?
First of all, I will say like the whole Angelero trade, I needed to create mechanics around the trade of the angel hunters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the trade of the angel hunter is divided in like three main pillars. It's hunting the angels, then the butchering or the butcher work, and the retail activity, which is selling the parts. And so these are all tied together into a changarro, which is a Mexican slang for business. And and this changarro is sort of a crew playbook from similar to what Harper did on Blades. Although I swear I've been working in this way before Blades was released. but it actually helped a bit. Like when I read Blades and I saw some of the stuff that Harper was doing with the crew sheet, I say, oh yeah, that helped me like see what I wanted and what I didn't for my stuff, like for this changarro thing.
Right.
Yeah, and I will say that the other thing is the transformation. Because as we mentioned before, there is these two sets of moves, like a set of moves that you can access all the time, basic moves, and a set of Nahual moves that you can access only when you transform. But also in the playbooks themselves, like there is a couple of moves, signature moves that your character has access all the time as a human or as a Nahual transformed. And there is like the main moves of your playbook will be you have access to them only when you're transformed into your Nahual.
Nice. All right, cool. All right, mentioned a lot of moves. What's your favorite move and why?
Okay, this is always a tough question to answer, and I think I may be cheating, but I'm gonna go with Unleash Your Nahual. And it is not my favorite because of the mechanics, but because of how the fictions is presented when the move triggers. Like as an MC, I asked each player for the first time when they transform for the first time in play. I asked them two things. First, how their mask looks like, because to transform, you put on a mask that represents the animal of your Nahual. And the other question is how the perception of the world around you changes when you transform, because I let the player decide, and for each character, for each person, the experience is different. So I like this move because players always give awesome answers. Like they came up with incredible and original stuff when I ask it, and they always surprise me.
That's cool. I dig it. All right. Well, let's see if you can get it surprised with me. I would really love to get an opportunity to play a little bit of Nahual with you. Do you think we could act under fire and play some?
Yeah, sure.
All right. It is time to act under fire. So in Act Under Fire, what we do is we give a brief demo of how the game plays. This is going to be Mike running Nahual for me. Now, it's generally a group game, right? So there may be some stuff here that we won't see in the demo. But let's see what we can play through, right, Mike?
Yeah, sure.
So I am playing the playbook of the Perro, the dog, and I will be playing. I'll go ahead and name him Massuno. Is that good?
Yeah, that's nice. That's +1.
That's right. There we go. So Massuno the Perro, and for the stats, they're really cool. The stats are, and my Spanish is terrible because I only had a little bit in high school. So we have Garra, Maña, Barrio, and Nahual are the stats that I have.
Yes, those are the 4 stats that you have.
Cool. And so my Garra is 2, and my Maña is -1. My Barrio is 1, and my Nahual is 1. So I'm really good at Garra. Really good. That's my whole thing. I'm a big, strong guy, right?
Cool. Okay, so Massuno, of course, is a member of a changarro. He works with other hunters in a changarro. But tonight they went hunting angels, but Massuno didn't join them because he got a call from a friend of his cousin Andrea, and she called Massuno and told him that somebody took Andrea, that somebody saw kidnap Andrea on the streets of the barrio where your changarro is, where you all live. And so, since the Perro is a very good tracker, you were able to find where they have her. So you've come to this big junkyard. It has a wall all around it and a big metal door at the front. But you can see over the wall around the junkyard, like the piles of cars that go higher than the wall. And it is night, and there is you can also see that the other side of the area, the main area of the junkyard, is illuminated. You have managed to find this place. You are sure that they have Andrea there because one of the things that Nahual lets you do as a dog, as a perro, is to track people. So you have a bloodhound move that let you go and find them. So you have done that. You have found the place where they keep Andrea, and you also jumped over the wall of the junkyard. So you are between the old cars, and you see there is a path that goes from the big metal door to the other side of the area where there is this small building, like a little tiny house inside of the place, and you see parked outside of it a truck, a new one, in very good conditions, and obviously whoever is in here came in that truck.
Okay.
So you are at the other side of the junkyard right now.
Mm-hmm.
There is these piles and piles of cars, like 3 stories high of cars piled.
Are there any stacks of cars that are kind of near that nice truck of his? Any way that I could possibly push over a stack of cars onto that guy's truck and get people to come out and look at their nice truck getting ruined?
Yeah, you definitely can do that. Like these piles of cars are mostly not very well organized, except for this area in the center of it. There is like this makeup road that crosses all the way in the middle of the junkyard. There is like 2 walls of old cars that are packed. You can definitely crush one of the truck with them.
Cool. Would I need to transform to be strong enough to push over a bunch of cars?
Like a human, it maybe you can push them, but then maybe it may be dangerous to you also. Like you can be crushed.
All right. Well, I've got a mask of a pit bull.
Yeah. So and what's that mask made of?
The mask is made from the leather of an old coat that my father left behind before he went out to get work for our family. He never came back. And I took that leather and I cut it up and I fashioned it into my mask, and it looks like a lot like a pit bull.
Okay, nice. So you have your mask with you and you put it on, but the other thing that you need to do to transform other than putting your mask on is to eat what is called your trigger. And this trigger is like a small piece of peyote, which is a cactus plant. So you eat your trigger and you put your mask on, and then you can use the move to unleash your Nahual.
Ooh, so cool. Awesome. So unleash my Nahual.
So you will actually be rolling with questions. So
Oh, cool. Okay. So yeah, I roll with questions. Do you have your mask on? I take +1. I do. Did I eat my trigger? You just said I had some. I ate some of the peyote, so I get a +1 as well. Is my stress track full? I don't know. Is it?
No, it is not.
All right. Then I get a +2 on that roll, and I'll go ahead and roll. I rolled a 5, so luckily I have my mask and my trigger, so I got right at a 7.
Okay. Yeah, on a hit you do it. If you had got a 10 plus, you will have marked experience because like the connection to your Nahual will have been made better, and that's the main advancement of your characters is how you increase your Nahual power.
Cool.
So yeah, you transform. So in the stage of transformation, you are like kind of in a hybrid form. Like some of your clothing, it gets like animalistic features. Maybe what is Massuno wearing right now?
So Massuno, I would use like Dave Bautista for the look of him, mostly because I think Dave Bautista is amazing, and he's a big, thick guy. So I think he really came up here, even though there's all this risk of tetanus and stuff at a junkyard. He's in tank top and probably like some camo pants and big, thick boots. So I guess when he transforms, maybe his whole upper body gets way bigger. Does he rip through his shirt and he's running around in just the camo pants? Is that what he'd look like?
Yeah, actually, your clothing merges instead of ripping. Like maybe your shirt start to grow like hair. So it's that kind of merged hybrid form. So, and tell us how your perception, how Massuno perceptions of the world changes when he transforms.
Well, he's a perro, and nobody has told him, whether this is just in his head or not, but he becomes colorblind. Everything
Nice.
is in black and white, and it's kind of a reflection of his personality in a way. And so he sees as much with scent as he does with his eyes, and everything that he's looking at, he loses all the color to the world.
Cool, nice. So you are now able like to easily sneak behind of some of the piles of cars and push one towards the truck. And this actually sounds like you are trying to make a fuss, which is one of the basic moves.
All right.
So that they come out, whoever is inside, that you want to make them come out of where they are. So when you make a fuss, you will now be rolling with your barrio stat.
Okay.
So
all right, my barrio is a 1. Here we go. Let's see how that goes. I rolled a 5 plus 1 is a 6. Oh.
Okay. You managed to crush this shiny new truck with the old cars and make a big mess of noise and dust and shrieking like metal sounds of metal. But you also like this created like a chain reaction of tumbling old cars, and you have to jump to a safe spot, and when you do that, you end up like exposed to the guys that are coming out with long guns, like to see what's going on, and you are like there in the middle and just in front of them, and they have like their guns pointing at you, and they start to yelling like, "What the hell? What do you do?"
Well, I'm already in my Nahual, so
yeah,
I kind of got what I wanted. I'm going to charge at them, but hopefully do it a little bit of a zigzag so I don't get shot to pieces.
Okay, so there is 2 guys that came out. There's this small building. It has just one door on the front and 2 windows, each on one side of the door. Mm-hmm. And from the door came these 2 guys, but you can clearly see another one like looking through the window. So you charged against these two guys, and you go a la brava, I say, which is the move for acting violently.
So luckily I roll with Gata, which I said before is my best stat. Here we go.
Yeah.
Aha, finally. I rolled a 9 plus 2 is an 11.
Nice. So on a 10 plus, you will be choosing 3 options. You're going to inflict harm on them, and you're going to suffer some harm too, and then you will choose those 3 options from the list.
I'd like to suffer little harm.
Yes.
And I want to get the upper hand. And I don't mind about marking stress, so I will not choose that option, so I'm inflicting terrible harm.
Yeah, so the way harm works is that there is like 3 levels of harm. Mm-hmm. There is superficial harm, critical harm, and mortal harm. So normally you will be doing mortal harm because you're transforming to your Nahual, like fire guns, and those also make mortal harm. Knives and that blunt weapons, they do like critical harms, and superficial harm is more like for punches, like normal, like a normal punch fight. So yeah, but since you're doing already mortal harm and you increase it, you will be doing like double mortal harm, and these thugs they only take 1 mortal harm like to be down. So with your terrible harm, you are gonna be able like to take the 2 of them. So yeah, you jump towards them like zigzagging as you said, and they open fire. One of them misses, but the other managed like to hit you with what will have been a mortal harm. But since you choose to suffer little harm, it will be reduced to critical instead.
Okay. It still sounds scary, but okay. I took 1 critical harm.
Yeah, so you got these 2 guys, like you rip through them with your claws and your bite. Even though you suffer that critical harm, you can still try to prevent it.
Okay, cool. Okay, what can I do? Okay, cool. We had a quick bit of technical difficulty, so Mike's sound's going to be a little bit different, but we'll pick right back up. In the middle of the fight, I had just received critical harm, and you said there might be something I can do about that before I have to eat it?
Yes, you can use a move that's called, in Spanish, aguantar vara, which is that when you get hit hard with critical or mortal harm, you can roll and see if you can like avoid some of the damage.
Cool. Okay, what do I need to roll?
You will be rolling and you will be adding your armor in case you have any.
Nope.
And then it's just the die. The dice.
Okay. Just a straight up dice.
Yes.
If they love me or hate me. Here we go. Oh, that's a 6. Man, is this XP on a miss?
Okay, yes, it will be a miss. So here's the thing. For example, if you were like at the brink of death and you urgently needed to reduce that harm, otherwise your character will be dying. Mm-hmm. On a miss, you can still choose to reduce the type of harm, but then you will be knocked out. So, but there's no need for that now. You're just like you got a bullet in let's say like some of the fires got you in your thigh, but mm-hmm. you then are able like to take down these two guys that are out, and then you have a +1 forward because you choose to have an advantage next.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you wanna go inside of the
yeah. I burst through the door. They came out. They just came out towards me. I burst through the door and I'm looking for Andrea. Andrea.
Yeah. Okay. So you burst through and you see this other guy that was looking through the window, and clearly he's not much of a violent type. And after seeing how you took down those two persons, and also like you are this kind of weird creature. And he's like our arms up and covering in one corner, like no, don't hurt me. And you see this small room it has like an old couch in one corner, a small table with a TV in front of it, and another table like for eating. And you see in that table and this scared guy is next to that table, and then you can see like some domino pieces, like they were playing domino before you came here, and some beers also on the table. Other than that, you don't see no one else.
Well, the guy who's nearest the door is getting the business. I'm going to grab him and slam him to the ground.
Okay.
Where is Andrea?
Okay, so you're again making a fuss to making this guy like hacerla de tos, to make this guy tell you where Andrea is, so roll your move again.
Okay, here we go. I'm rolling with Barrio, which is a +1. I rolled a 10, so that's an 11, man.
Nice. Okay, he's all scary. He barely managed to speak, but he's pointing towards the old couch that is like an old sofa that is next there in a corner. It's old and stinky and pretty dirty. But he's pointing and it's all he managed like to do. He can't speak.
Okay, I leave him there and I'll stalk over to the couch and I guess there are couch cushions. I'll yank those up. They bury her in a couch. Oh God, is Andrea dead? I'll kill them all.
Okay, you yank the cushions and then you also like in your frenzy looking for her, like also flip over the couch and you see there's a trap door underneath it.
I look over at those guys. You better go. And then I'm going to lift and pull that trapdoor, and I'm jumping down whatever's down here. I'm going to fight it.
Okay, so you pull the trapdoor. You see the stairs there, and you also, as you're going down or jumping down, you see there's some switch also to turn a light on, or I don't know if you want to keep it dark, but it's almost pitch black down here.
Oh, I got to see what I'm doing. Yes, I'll turn on the light.
Okay, yeah, so you turn on the light, and you see there is boxes and boxes and barrels of stuff, and you see there is also on some of the barrels are open, some of the boxes are open, and you see weapons there, like they have some type of stash here, and you see in one corner you see two women like laying down, they are tied. And then in the other corner, you see this tiny. At first, you look at them and they look like childs, but then you take a better look and you see that they have tiny wings in their backs. So there is these two. They are cherubs, and you as an angel hunter know that these cherubs are pretty rare. like you have never seen one before on the flesh. You have heard about them, and you have heard that they are dangerous, but you are not sure why yet. And as you're looking at them, and there's two in the corner, and you see in the corner of your eye another one, like flying, moving, like trying to get out of your way, like hiding from you.
Okay. My first action is I got to get these ladies free so they can run away. Hopefully they have enough energy to do that. So I'm going to move over to them, keeping my eyes on those three cherubs, very wary about it. I've heard they're dangerous, but I got to make sure these, I'm hoping to blow all this stuff up eventually, but I got to get them out of here first. So I'm going to try to, with my claws, like rip their ropes and tell them, get out of here. We got to go.
Okay, first, before you do that, as you approach towards them, like this tiny cherub that was like flying around, when he sees that you're heading towards the woman, he flies and puts himself in the middle, in your way, blocking your way, and you hear him say in a childish voice, "Get away from them."
What are they to you?
I'm here to guard them.
Oh, for another one of your angels?
From anyone who wants to take them. Those are my orders.
Well, are you willing to die for it? Because I'm taking them out of here.
And then you see that this tiny cherub that was flying with his tiny little wings lands in the floor in front of you and starts to grow.
Oh, crap.
Like in age, like he's aging, like he's now a small kid and then a young adult and then an adult, and then as he starts to grow, the wings also grow, and then the body then starts to changes into a bull-like body.
Oh, wow.
Until the thing transforms into what is known as a caribou, which is a big bull with wings, colored wings, and a human head and long beard. And as he was transforming, you hear like his voice changing pitch from a childish voice to a grave, old-grown man voice. Are you willing to die? Yeah, and I think we leave it there.
Leave it right there. Holy crap. That was awesome. Man, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on to share with me Nahual, and I will have a link to the Kickstarter in the show notes. Mike, thanks for coming on Plus One Forward and talking to me about Nahual.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've been following the podcast for a while, and it's been an honor now being in it.
Awesome.
Plus One Forward is a production of the Gauntlet community, Richard Rogers and Rach Shelkey. You can find us at gauntlet-rpg.com or follow us on Twitter at @+1FWD. If you would like to support our show, visit our Patreon site at patreon.com/gauntlet. The games mentioned on this show use the Apocalypse engine, which is a creation of Vincent and Magay Baker. The music for Plus One Forward is from the Savage Aural Hotbed CD Gomi Daiko. The songs used are Gomi Daiko, Metal Version, and Drowning Attitude. You can find more amazing tunes by Savage Aural Hotbed on their website, www.savageauralhotbed.com.